in the beginning, when Musk announced this deal, you said that 54.20 was actually too low to pay for Twitter. What do you think he's going to have to? What do you think he's wind up paying now?
Well, I think the whole tech world has changed. The whole world has really changed, but especially the tech world since he came out with that offer. You've obviously seen a collapse in stocks for a variety of reasons. You've had some very disappointing earnings out of tech. You've had the backup in rates. You've had Fed tightening. You've had the shutdown situation in China. So all that has contributed to a huge re-rating in tech valuations. Most likely, perhaps not a permanent one, but one that will likely last for a very long time. So I think Musk saw what occurred in the market. I think he saw what occurred with Tesla also, which is a big foundation for, the wealth that's going to fuel his bid. And I think he is angling for a cheaper price. So that's going to be the $60,000 question is what price gets the deal done. He certainly has a lot of negotiating leverage right now, just given how there are few other buyers, given what's happened with tech. And you've also seen a lot of changes within Twitter since the deal was announced. You had yesterday a couple of senior departures. So, the company is ready to be acquired. And I think Elon is attempting to kind of just lower the price here.
Okay. We don't know what that price will be, but what we can do is try and work out what we think it's worth. Adam, what do you think Twitter is worth right now?
It's really hard to say. You do have in the last couple of days, yesterday, you saw some buying in the tech stocks that have been really washed out and out of favor. Obviously, you have an extension of that rally again today. So if you see somewhat of a floor getting put in, underneath the stock, you're probably looking at something in the mid to high 30s. That would probably be a floor as far as a Twitter valuation, but it's really up in the air. I think a lot of it will be dependent on the market. There's still to be a Twitter shareholder vote that takes place when the offer is made. So, he spoke earlier the week at the Financial Times event, as your prior conversation noted, and he sounded a bit ambivalent. And I think a lot of that just has to do with how in flux tech markets are right now. And I think a big concern was also what was happening with Tesla shares. So this can obviously really create somewhat of a relief as far as concerns about further sales on his part.
Hey, Adam, do you think that this further emboldens any kind of short sellers here? I mean, Hindenburg Research was already short despite Musk's bid for Twitter. Do you think that this kind of ramps those positions up?
It's hard. I mean, you're dealing, with information that is getting tweeted out, at all hours of the day. So it's a really, really difficult situation right now. I don't necessarily know if I would be aggressively short it right now at these levels, but I certainly think 54.20, is looking very increasingly unlikely to be the final bid to the extent there is an acquisition.
Adam, is Twitter worth more?
Sorry, go ahead.
Carry on.
No, go ahead.
Is Twitter worth more with less than 5% spam bots or more than 5% spam bots?
Presumably those bots are skewing kind of the impressions as far as advertisers are concerned. So I think from the market perspective, if they were to come out with a much lower, user figure, that would probably spook some people, but advertisers would probably appreciate the greater transparency, and that could help attract more advertisers to the platform. So if the objective here is to provide a really thorough view of who is using Twitter to advertisers, I think, again, you could probably see ad rates actually tick higher. Markets, again, would be spooked maybe on the headline about, a drop in monthly average users or daily average users. But I think advertisers would probably appreciate, a more cleaned up platform.
Hey, Adam, so Twitter's down, Tesla up, right? You have the NASDAQ 100, you're really flying higher here, 2.8%, S&P up by 2 percentage points. And I'm just wondering what your read-through is of a Twitter and Tesla dynamic into the broader market.
I think one of the contributors to the tech slump, there's been many contributors, has been this concern that Elon would have to sell a big chunk of Tesla shares. So I think removing that overhang is one of the reasons why you're ticking higher today. You have a couple of other things as well, including some of the news out of Shanghai overnight. But like I said, the bombed out tech stocks have been acting well now for the second straight session, which is somewhat encouraging as far as tech possibly finding a floor here. In which case then that could help Twitter shareholders as far as the price cut that Elon is seeking being a little bit lower than feared.
Okay, let's put you on the spot. Does the deal get done, yes or no?
I think it gets done, but at a lower price. Lower price than 54.20.
Certainly lower than 54.20.
Yeah.
And in terms of that bombed out, do you think we are bombed out now? Do you think we're getting near a floor in tech valuations? Because if you take 2000 as a precedent, potentially we've got a lot further to go.
I think that you are at least for the near term, you've had such aggressive, violent selling that you are at a level where you're going to see some of these names find a floor. I don't, though, think you're going to return back to the levels where we were just even a few months ago. I think you had a 90s-like tech bubble that occurred during the pandemic that has popped. So a lot of these stocks are going to be trading at these current depressed valuations for a while. I thought the Interactive Corp, their earnings report, they put out a very interesting comment in their shareholder letter, which I encourage people to read, just talking about how they think that you've seen a permanent resetting lower in tech valuations. And this is something they actually welcome, because they are looking to possibly add to their portfolio of internet companies. So I think for, a firm like that takes a real hard look at doing M&A in the group. I thought it was an interesting comment for them to make, that they think that these valuations are going to be permanently reduced for the foreseeable future.